Have you ever had to make a decision between two things? Maybe you wanted two toys, but you could only get one. How did you pick which one you wanted? Most likely, you used comparing and contrasting skills to decide.
When we compare and contrast, it's generally between two things. When we compare, we look to see what is the same about two things. The more related to each other the things are, the more there is to compare.
If we were to compare an apple and an orange, we would look at what things are the same or similar between the two. For example, they're both fruits, they both grow on trees, they're both round, and they both can be eaten.
These are some of the things they have in common, so they fall into the compare category.
Contrasting is the opposite of comparing. When we are contrasting, we are looking at the differences in the two things. The key to contrasting is to find one aspect of something and then figure out how that aspect is different in the other. Sounds confusing? Let's look at an example.
In the example of the apple and the orange, we know that oranges have thick skin and apples don't. In order to contrast, we have to think if the orange has thick skin, what does the apple have? Apples have thin skin. So we would say an orange has thick skin and an apples have thin skin.
We can't contrast with not or don't. For example, if we compare a frog and a human, we can't say a frog lives in a pond and a human does not live in a pond. We have to find the contrast to decide. We would say something like frogs live in a pond and humans live in a house.
Sometimes when we compare and contrast, we use something called a Venn diagram. It looks like this, two circles put together overlapping. You probably know how to make two-circle Venn diagram. We use this when we are comparing and contrasting two things. But as you become a better reader and maybe grow older, you might start to use a three-circle Venn diagram. For example, if you're reading a book, you may have a dog, a lizard, and maybe even a human, so you'd be comparing three things. Your Venn diagram would have three circles. We don't use opinions when we are comparing and contrasting.
Now let's have you give it a try. Check out the assignments in week 8 to compare and contrast the things around you. Have fun!